other bridesmaids come rushing around me. One's fanning me, the other's giving me water, somebody's getting a hair dryer to dry the tears, one's like at my knees being like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Hey, it's me.
Hello and welcome back to the web with me, Nick Webb. Hello, hi. If you're new here, I want to welcome you. Thanks for coming. If you've been here before, I'm so glad to see you again. We're gonna get straight into it. I mentioned it in like a couple videos before, but Insider wrote an article about mine and my husband's wedding. Which one, I'll explain how that even happened. And then two, it just makes me want to talk about my wedding. And I've talked about my wedding all over my TikTok, so I'm like, why don't I bring this to YouTube? And Insider gave me a reason to continue to talk about my wedding. So I'm gonna capitalize on that. Because what's the point of having a wedding if you don't talk about it for the rest of your life? So my husband and I are coming up on our 1-year anniversary in just a couple months actually, which is so crazy, so exciting. The first year of marriage has been amazing, beautiful, magical. But the wedding process was a lot. Not really, kind of. So I will say, I'm gonna link the Insider article because that's gonna give all of our vendors list. If I mention something or if I show a picture and you like want more to it, the Insider article has literally every vendor we use listed. I'll start with how Insider even chose to write an article, and then I'll explain my wedding process. So I have posted on my TikTok quite a few times about just our wedding pictures, and because it was pretty unique, I wore a black wedding dress, my husband wore a green, like a velvet green suit. It has gone viral anytime I've posted a wedding picture. Specifically, I did a little TikTok trend, little like 15-second video, showed our wedding pictures again.
And it's like, whoa, like my love. But it's more like,
And I knew it. I looked at I made it while sitting on the couch, and then I like closed my phone, looked at my husband, and I was like, oh, I just made a viral TikTok. And I need to look at what it's at now, but by the time the article was released, it was at 300,000 views, which is a lot. That's like a lot of views. I posted the video, starts going semi-viral, and I've had videos hit millions before, so I wasn't like shocked. I wasn't like, oh my goodness, because I have videos that do that. But what shocked me was there was a Friday. I work from home and I am a full-time content creator, not just for my personal platforms, just I create content for like brands and stuff. So I'm at home, I'm on my laptop, I'm emailing brands, and I have two emails. I have my influencer email and then I have my job email. And I check my influencer email and I'm like, oh, here's an email. And sometimes I get like gifted collab opportunities, some brand collab opportunities, not a whole lot. So I wasn't expecting much until I read the first line and it says, I'm a reporter for Insider. And I like screamed, dropped to the ground. I was like, what is happening? I even recorded a little video, like a little video diary. That won't see the light of day just yet, but my husband was at work. And I'm like, I looked up this reporter, I checked everything out, and she was legit. Like I looked her name up, everything was legit. And like my husband's at work and I can't call him, but I'm like, I need him to call me. And I texted him because he was about to be off. I'm freaking out. I literally like sat on my stairs like, what is happening? Crying. He finally calls me and he just said a lot of sweet stuff and I'm crying. And it was so cool. And then by Monday, we set up our interview for a Tuesday morning. She called me. We had an hour-long chat. It was lovely. And I kept my mouth shut. I didn't want anything to jinx this. I was like so afraid if I spoke about it. And I had texted our photographer because they wanted to use pictures and I needed to provide his email. So I gave him the heads up. I was like, hey, you know, they're gonna reach out to you, and held my breath because there were like licensing stuff he had to do to release the photos because he has a manager or somebody. And so I'm like holding my breath because I'm like, oh, I hope all the pictures can go over smoothly. And then I had to ask my sister's permission for a photo to be shared. And I was like, oh, what if my sister doesn't want it? Because she surprised me for the wedding. And I was like, what if she doesn't want to be a part of the article? And there just seemed to be little hoops I had to jump over. I didn't even tell my maid of honors. Like, I didn't tell anybody because I was like, nothing is going to stop this article from coming out. And she had told me, she's like, by this weekend, it'll be live. I refreshed my email every 5 seconds, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing. And I'm like, something must have happened. Something must have happened. Because she had even said, oh, I got your photographer's response. Everything's great. She asked for just additional pictures of me and my husband. And I'm just like, what? Like, why isn't the article released? Monday, I even went to insider.com on my own and I'm like refreshing like latest stories, nothing. And I was like, all right, fine. Like, it's just going to come out when it comes out. Close the Insider website and see an email pop up where she's like, okay, we're live. I lost my mind. It was so fun. It was such a fun experience. And like, I had my wedding written about, which is a huge deal because I'll explain. But it was such a special moment for me for this reason. Planning my wedding was an emotional roller coaster, not in the way that like is traditional. Like, planning is hard. I was dealing with a lot of family issues that was a struggle, and it was very heavy emotionally. My therapist was working overtime. All is well now, but during the time, it was a very, very, very hard time while I'm trying to plan and celebrate the most exciting moment of my life. So where should I start? Essentially, let me start with how we even got the wedding vision. Because originally, my husband and I, we were gonna do a very, very small family-only ceremony. And because my sister was gonna move away and we wanted her to be there, and then things happened. And then I was like, we're just gonna elope. And then my husband is an only child. And a lot of this is also in the article too, but my husband's an only child. And one of his moms was just like, you know, she wanted to see her only son get married, which is valid and fair. And when she expressed that, I was like, we have to do a wedding. And I told my husband, I said, if we're gonna do a wedding, we're gonna do big traditional dream wedding. And he's like, okay. I said, we're just gonna have a longer engagement. We got engaged in August of 2021. We were gonna get married in November 2021. We were gonna get married either November 4th or 5th, 2021. I can't quite remember. Then things happened. And so we were still like, we still want that original day just to overlap any bad memories of it being taken from us. And so we chose November 4th, 2022. And we were like set on that. We're like, we're gonna have that day. It's gonna be our day. One, the summers where we live are brutal, but I really wanted an outdoor wedding. My husband is still in school, so like went in the middle of his semester, but we didn't want to do by Christmas. And so November just seemed like the perfect time. It would start to get cool without being too cold, all of that, just all those little technical stuff. And thus began our journey of looking, and I had already had this vision of what I wanted the wedding to look like because a single Pinterest photo. The biggest tip I will give to any new brides or anybody planning a wedding is Pinterest is your best friend for two reasons. One, it's Pinterest. You find a lot of great ideas. Pinterest as a whole, I think, is very underappreciated. It's the underdog. What is the word? It's, you know what I mean? You know, Pinterest needs her flowers and we're not giving them to her. But two, when people tell you to create vision boards and like things will come to life and it'll happen and like manifestation and things like that, Pinterest did that. When I tell you I created a Pinterest board that I looked at every single day, I added to it every single day. One, it helped me just like keep on track of what I wanted. But two, when I walked into our venue for the look of everything being put together, it was my Pinterest board come to life. Do a vision board for everything in your life, but specifically do it for your wedding and use Pinterest because it's just the easiest tool to use it. Amazing. But I was scrolling through Pinterest because I had no idea what I wanted and stumbled upon this photo and I was like, that's it. Those are our wedding colors. It felt very us, kind of dark, moody without being too gothic because I'm very dark and moody, but I'm not really gothic, if we can tell, but it seemed very romantic. And I've been obsessed with being a princess my whole life. And so I was like, this seems very like, I don't know, it worked. And then how we found our venue was also by accident because I had actually seen this venue around town, like popping up in my Google searches, but they were old photos of the venue. And I was like, this venue doesn't look good. But then my friend posted that he went to a wedding in town. And I was like, where is this venue? Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. And I realized it was the one I just kept ignoring. And so my husband and I went to tour it, fell in love. They had the November 4th date available. And and I mean, you can see pictures, but it's like, you wouldn't expect it either because it's on this like street in the middle of nowhere in town. And it's behind a little house, and you go through this big gate and you walk into just this beautiful courtyard of exposed brick. There's a fountain, just vine green. Then you go into the ceremony space and it looks like you've walked into a forest. It was every little thing that I wanted was just falling into place so perfectly. Oh my goodness, that was our venue. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. That was our venue. And thus began the actual planning. I knew my color scheme. I knew our venue. Now it's all the little pieces. And I will say, having a long engagement and choosing to have a big wedding made it so stress-free because we could take care of one big project one month, another big project the next month, another big one. And by the time it got to the last month of wedding planning, I was like, oh, everything's done. And whatever little stuff popped up wasn't overwhelming because like big stuff was taken care of. I think we like nailed down our food vendor, our caterers in like January. We had gotten our photographer in January because I already knew who I wanted our photographer to be. We gotten like everything. And then we went wedding dress shopping, I think in March. And I knew I wanted a black wedding dress. I am somebody who has always dyed my hair. I've always had these crazy hair colors. And so I've just never it was either I was gonna have colored hair or I was gonna do a unique wedding dress. But I knew I wanted to have like my long blonde platinum hair. I've loved the idea of black wedding dresses. I just didn't I don't know, I just it felt so hard to find a bridal feeling black wedding dress. And in passing and joking, I looked at my husband and I was like, what if I wear a black wedding dress? Because we were talking about unique things we wanted to do. And he was like, yes, please do. Please wear like black wedding dress, please. And I was like, well, if I can find one that feels bridal, you know what I mean? So I was scouring the internet and I just wasn't finding anything. My mother-in-laws somehow found this bridal shop called Coco Melody that had a designated black bridal wedding dress line. And we go to LA because we were also getting my husband's tux custom made because the specific fabric and color we wanted didn't exist. Like the tux stores weren't creating that yet. And somehow my mother-in-laws also found this custom tux maker in LA. And it's actually very reasonably priced. Like you would think a custom tux is so much. I think he was cheaper than my wedding dress, 100%. So we go to have that meeting and we couldn't get a hold of Coco Melody. Like their phones were down for that week or whatever. So we just showed up. And we just were like, we're here, we want to make an appointment to come back. And they're like, well, since you're already in town, why don't we try some on? I was super unprepared. I had to FaceTime my mom in because we didn't expect to get an appointment. I was so oh, we got this chance to try on the dress. I have to pick one. And I almost picked the wrong one because the dress I ended up choosing, I almost didn't get. I in the first initial appointment, I was not wowed by it. I didn't like it that much. I was super wowed by another dress, but something kind of kept holding me back. I thankfully walked away from the appointment. Everybody kind of was like, you don't have to make a decision right now. You don't have to. And I felt like, I was like, no, I have to. So thankfully we walked away. I did show my husband me in the wedding dresses, but I said I'm not going to tell you which ones are my favorite. Don't tell me which one's yours, but here's what I look like in the dresses because I was so excited. And he loved them all. He loved them all. And I kept looking at the dress that I had tried on that I didn't like. And I was like, why didn't I like this in store? This is gorgeous. And I think every day I looked at that picture of me in the dress and I'm like, I think this is the dress. I think this is the dress. And very fortunately, I was able to get my 2 maid of honors, my mom, his mom's, to the dress appointment. And I knew, I was like, well, let me try on my second choice just to try it on. Then I want to put on my first choice. Put on my first choice. I walked out. I cried. I had the whole moment. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And that's how I got my dress. I felt like the dress was just speaking to me. The original design of the dress has an emerald green underlay to it. And I did get it in all black because I felt like that was gonna be overkill. My bridesmaids were gonna be in emerald green. My husband was wearing an emerald green tux. There was so much greenery. I was like, all right, I have to kind of stand out. So I did all black, but I just felt like that was a little like sign that it was speaking to me where it's like, I'm already your wedding colors. It's upstairs. I wanna go put it on, but I'm not going to, but I wish I could. Oh, I love my dress. And I had it said when I went to my like appointment to try on a dress, I was like, I want to feel like, I don't know what I want in a dress, but I want to feel like I am a fairy princess running through the forest. And I felt that when I put on my dress. My husband, he had multiple appointments to get his tux done and he loved it. And that is how we got our outfits, which was the whole point of the Insider article. She kind of wanted to know how we got all of that. But the actual wedding day I want to talk about, I stayed in a hotel in our downtown area, and I had a couple of my bridesmaids stay with me. I said, anybody who wants to stay with me can. Some girls didn't, because they were coming in from out of town with like their husbands and stuff. So I had a couple bridesmaids stay with me. We woke up the next morning, we went to brunch. Brunch was great. Like us girls, and their partners came too. I said, your partners can come, but us girls went to brunch. We go back to the hotel room to get ready. Getting ready is going so smoothly, so well. Like I was doing my hair, my makeup, everything was going so well. The plan was, get ready at the hotel. We were gonna go to our first look destination, then go to the venue, and my husband and his groomsmen were getting ready at the venue. And then, so us girls were at the hotel. So the videographer and the photographer were meeting us at the hotel to get pictures of me getting in my dress. Then we were all gonna go to the first look spot, and so on and so on. I am about to get in my dress. The videographer, they're all getting their stuff set up. We're in our downtown area, okay? This is a prominent hotel in the downtown area. We're getting dressed, and oh my gosh, I've blocked this out of my memory because when I tell you nothing was going wrong, nothing was going wrong. We were on time to the minute. Everybody was showing up, great energy. It was a perfect day. And then all of a sudden, the videographer's assistant looked out the window and says, oh my God, somebody's stealing our stuff, and runs out the door. And I'm like in my robe about to like get out of it to get in my dress, and we run to the window and because we're on like the 7th floor, or we were on the 6th floor, because we're on the 6th floor, the windows don't open all the way because I don't want people jumping out. It's cracked. We can see, I saw a van and I saw a white truck, and in the white truck there was already equipment in there. One of my bridesmaids is calling 911. The videographer and the photographer run downstairs with her. We're screaming out the window to people that are walking the crosswalk, and we're like, he's stealing stuff, he's stealing stuff. We see this guy throwing stuff in a truck. I thought he was stealing the car because I didn't realize the van was theirs. I thought it was the van and the truck, and because the truck already had equipment in it, I thought it was our videographers. So I'm on the phone with the police and I'm like, he's stealing a car, he's stealing a car. And I'm like panicking. He's like, can you give me to somebody, the dispatcher was like, can you give me to somebody that is not frantic? And so I handed it to one of my bridesmaids. She ran downstairs. She was on the phone with the police, and he just drives off with the car. And I broke sobbing. I literally, like, I had held it, everything was going perfect. And I go, and I just like, and this is why my bridesmaids were my bridesmaids, because the best team, one was already downstairs. The rest were upstairs with me. And I just stand, it gets quiet. And my eyes just well up with tears. No, this is what happened. We called my husband, and I was like, the videographer stuff just got stolen, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, the nursery that is our first look, he's like, I'll tell them we're gonna be late, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do, And he's like, okay, I'm coming to the hotel. And that's when everything broke, because I was like, he's gonna see me before our first look. I had this vision for the day and it's all being ruined. And I hand the phone to one of my maid of honors, Haley, and I said, you talk to him. And I just sit on the bathtub and I start crying. Haley grabs the phone. She goes to talk to Landon. All of my other bridesmaids come rushing around me. One's fanning me, the other's giving me water. Somebody's getting a hair dryer to dry the tears. One's like at my knees being like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And she's like talking to Landon and she's like, oh, okay, we'll figure it out. Like, I'll call you back. She hangs up on him. And the thing that calmed me down was one of my bridesmaids, Elsie, her and her husband are photographers. I was freaking out because I'm thinking all of their equipment got stolen and their car. I'm thinking we're gonna have to pay for it. They're not gonna get our wedding video. I'm thinking like, you know, we just lost our videographer for the whole day and we're gonna have to pay for everything. And the thing that calmed me down is Elsie was like, they're professionals, they have insurance, it's gonna be covered. I didn't even like tell her what was wrong, but when she said that, I was like, okay, everything's okay. Everything's okay. And then right as I'm like calming down from that, the videographer comes upstairs, sees me crying. He's an angel of a man, John Michael Photography. He's like, why are you crying? And I was like, your stuff got stolen. Why am I not crying? He's like, that's not for you to worry about. He's like, literally, that's not for you to worry about at all. He's like, I've already called my husband. He's already picking up new equipment for us. Like, we're good. We can still get your video today. I like, my friend's trying to hand me water and I said, give me the bottle of vodka. And they hand me the bottle of vodka, and this is how this picture was born, is I just needed, it was great. It was great though. Once everything, and then we got a beautiful video. They did have some equipment that they didn't have, and they didn't tell me about until after the fact because they were able to like compromise and make it work. But they got a beautiful video for us. So we did make it to our first look spot, which was a nursery in town that my husband and I absolutely love. We even thought about like eloping there because they do small events. We just love this place, and they were so kind for us to like rent it for an hour, and they even like directed people around us, and we got pictures. We did a private vow exchange, which I recommend to everybody. Because we wanted to elope, I still wanted that moment of just us. And so we did the first look, and we also exchanged private vows to each other, which I'm so glad we did. And it was so emotional. It was just, we were in the greenhouse, and it was just me, him, the videographer, and the photographer. They're crying, we're crying. It was, and then a couple of his groomsmen and my maid of honors are like looking through the window crying. Like, it was so beautiful, and we got to have this intimate moment of us essentially just getting married to each other without an audience. And then we got to go do the real thing. And I also did a family first look instead of like a first look with my dad and stuff, because his family was so involved in the wedding process. I didn't want to just take that moment because like they helped me find my wedding dress. Like, I wanted his moms to also get that first look moment. And I had my maid of honors put me in my wedding dress. And so like my mom hadn't even seen me yet. So I did a whole family first look where his whole family, my whole family, they were all lined up and they were gonna see him and I together for the first time. We did a little venue walkthrough, and this is when my sister surprised me. I didn't know she was coming. She said it was impossible for her to come. No, I knew she was coming because when she told me she couldn't come, I was like, I know she's gonna try to surprise me. Like, that's just how our family is. And then I walk in and I see her and I start crying, and I can't talk about it because I'll start crying again. And we did this, you know, big, beautiful family reveal. And that's also when we did our family pictures. Then it was time to do the whole shebang to get started. And then everything went smoothly. Literally nothing else went wrong. The only thing is the DJ, there was a miscommunication. The wedding coordinators of the day told me when my Walk Down the Aisle song plays, give it 5 seconds, but I was delaying, and so the DJ thought I wasn't ready for the song, so then he tried to like go back into the other song, and I was like, no, you can play my song. And so the timing of it just was like a little off, but it was fine. Like, it was fine. Even my dad was like, it's okay, like, it's okay. And then we still did personal vows at the altar, but it was more like condensed and for the audience to hear. And our ceremony, 10 minutes. We wanted it quick, like in and out. And we had a family friend officiate. It was just, oh, it was so beautiful. And then we went into cocktail hour, photos, dinner, dancing. We had temporary tattoo station. We obviously had an open bar, and it was a little chilly, so we did have this big basket full of like blankets for people to use, which they did. And it was just so magical. And I remember during dinner, I posted on my Instagram story like our view from dinner. But I remember sitting at our little sweetheart table and I could see everybody, and the little fairy lights had come on and it was dark and music, oh, the dinner music was playing. And I just remember looking around and being like, I literally was like mental image, because I was like, I want to soak in this moment, because so many brides always say like, the day goes by so fast and it's done and you're like, oh my gosh, it happened. And the whole day I was like intentionally like, remember this, feel this, experience this, like trying to be very, very present. Oh, it was just so beautiful. And so I also, anybody who's getting married, I recommend actively trying to be present during the whole day. Just every like so often stop and be like, you know, what am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I feeling? What am I hearing? And all of that, and just really embrace it. And then the wedding was done and we did a small little after thing at the local bar, and I was like in my wedding dress at the bar, and then my husband and I stayed the night in the same hotel room that I had gotten ready in, and then we went on to our little honeymoon. And that was the wedding. When I tell you, again, the only three things. I didn't like how the napkins were folded, and the wedding coordinators like changed my plan. And when my mother-in-law called me about it, I was in the middle of getting ready. I was like, whatever, it's fine. And I didn't think I'd have as much of a problem with it until after. And I'm like, I wish they did the napkins how I wanted them. It's fine. For those to be the only three things that I like look back and I'm like, I think that's a great job. I think that's a great job. But everything else went. We were only allowed to have 120 guests. We ended up with like 111 people show up. And then the food was amazing. We did a cake for us and then cupcakes for everybody else, like little mini ones. It just was an amazing, beautiful, wonderful, magical time. My wedding was an absolute dream. And I know like so many people, I wish I could go relive it. I truly do. Just because our goal for our wedding was we wanted everybody to tangibly feel the love him and I have for each other. And that, like, without telling anybody, that's what everybody kept saying, is like, we just feel the love, we feel the love, we feel the love. People who never cry were crying. Like, it was such a beautiful time. I don't really know much more to say on it, just except that it was the best time ever. I married my absolute soulmate. I love him so much. If you're interested in anything else, the Insider article probably has it. It has links to like the jewelry I wore, the shoes I wore, different things like that. If you have any other questions, you can just comment them. My whole wedding video is on my Instagram. That is the story of my wedding and how Insider wrote an article. Our videographer's stuff got stolen, but it was also the most perfect day ever. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, I hope that you subscribe and continue to hang out with me as I tell you and have you join me on my silly little life. If you've been watching and you are a subscriber, I love you. Thank you for staying tuned in. Let me know whatever questions or content that you guys want to see from me. I post every Sunday and I will keep posting every Sunday. So let me know what you guys want to see from me, hear from me, all of that. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.